Welcome to my home. My name is Lisa, and this is Fear Friday on Mysterious Mystical Moments. Now, tonight I will be talking about the mummy. Now, the mummy is a real thing in this world that we can go and see, especially at museums and stuff. But it was the early way of exactly how they embalmed people and things like that. In the 19th century, Ka priests put phrases and curses on the tomb, some so dangerous and unthinkable to record. And that's how wicked they were. They they didn't record them or anything else like that because they were scared. They were scared of them, even saying them out loud. So most of these markings and curses are private tombs of the Old Kingdom era. The kings especially, grave robbers or tomb robbers met horrible deaths breaking into the sacred places. Most held magnificent essentials for the body to go into the other world, like golden calves, gold statues, jewels, anything that the king or a pharaoh would need to take into the underworld. That's what would be into these tombs. And so, of course, they wanted to make sure that no grave robber or anything would come in and break into the tomb. So they set traps, and then they said the curse would be put upon whoever disturbed the tomb. Now, the most famous one is probably the boy King Tut's tomb that Howard Carter had found. Now, the mummies are real, but is the curse real? Most believe so. Let's start out with how they made the mummies. Now, first they would take the deceased king or queen or, the deceased body, and they would, mummification it's called, and they would take out their internal organs except the heart. They kept the heart in because they believed that the heart was part of their soul, and that's what held the soul, so they kept the heart and inside the body, but they took out like the stomach, the lungs, the intestines, their brain. They would take like a some kind of hook or a utensil or something, and like a coat hanger hook, and they'd shove it up their nose and scramble it around and pull their the brain out little by little by little from their nose through their nostrils. Thank God they were dead, because that would be horrifying, right? And then, after all of that's done, they would soak the body and give the body a bath, and with wine. They'd give them a bath of wine, and they'd give them a bath of spices, and then they'd cover up the corpse with salt for 70 days. Now, it had to stay there for 70 days. And, of course, like when you get in the bathtub, you get all wrinkly and stuff, and it, like, the muscles and stuff, of course, would be, it would be gross. But after 40 days, they'd stuff the body with linen. After another 40 days, they'd stuff the body with linen and to give it the shape the body wrap. And then, from head to toe, in bandages. After another 70 days, they would stuff it with bandages, and then they would stuff it after another 70 days from head to toe with bandages on the outside. Now, that's a long time for some corpse to be laying there, It'd be more like, I guess they fermented it. Weird, huh? Now, like I said, the most famous one is King Tut. And Howard Carter, in 1922, Howard Carter and his team, his excavation team that he led, with Lord Caravan, who Caravan. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he is the one who funded it all, and of course, he was the one standing there next to him. So they unearthed the door of the boy Pharaoh Tutankhamun, and when they opened the door, and it was like a door shaped type um, alcove type thing inside the pyramid. When they opened the door, they unleashed 1,000 years of hot, stagnant air trapped from the ancient doorway. Now, mold and the dust and the germs or whatever could have been growing in there that could have made him sick. Now, could that have been part of the curse? Yes. Now, we've all watched the movie, well, if you haven't watched the movie The Mummy, you should watch it with Brandon Fraser. It's really good. And you see them opening things like where the Kenobi jars are that held the intestines and the innards and the vital organs, where they put them in these jars. And when in the movie, when the workers opened up it, acid came out, like an acid type thing that burned their faces. And of course, it was the curse that did it. That's so the grave robbers wouldn't be able to steal their parts, their innards. Anyway, they unearthed the door of the boy Pharaoh Tutankhamun, and Egypt, the Valley of the Kings, all became great treasure was found. Now, the whole valley became open open targets, or whatever you want to say, open season. Now, Carnarvon, which I'm going to just call him Lord, and his brother had gotten blood poisoning somehow. Oddly, they got blood poisoning, and then they died shortly after opening the tomb. Now, of course, his brother was part of the excavation too, and how he got it, I guess, was from a mosquito bite. And then his brother got it from, they didn't say how he got it from, but they both died of blood poisoning, and the mosquito bite was on his face. Now, that was really weird, right? Reed mysteriously injured illness, was dying of a fever, and his house burned down, only to be flooded after he rebuilt it. Another one of the excavators that held gifts from Carter. Now, Carter gave Reed, his friend, items from King Tut's tomb. Now, like a little gold vase or something like that. And so that was their curse too. But Carter always said BS on the curse. That's a bunch of bull. He didn't believe in the curse, but he did die of Hodgkin's disease in 1939 at the age of 64, 17 years later after his discovery. Now, could that have been the curse too, that he died that long and suffered that long with it? Who knows? But of course, this is the first of the Fear Fridays of October. And I did Frankenstein last Wednesday on Weird But True. But, getting back to the Mummy, I wanted to make sure that you all knew that you can go to museums and see mummies. And you can go to even see King Tut now in museums. And some of his ancient things. But I would be a little leery. Maybe I'd say a prayer before I, seen the great king himself. It would be amazing to go see something like that. I've always been interested in Egyptology, and but I remember growing up and watching The Mummy, and they have it actually on Peacock, I believe, or Tubi, that you can watch it on TV. There's great movies from the one that I really like is Tales from the Dark Side. I think, is it Tales from the Dark Side? I'm not sure if it's Tales from the Dark Side. But yeah, Tales from the Dark Side. And it's got the Mummy, and it's got not Brandon Fraser, but Steve Buscemi and Christian Slater in it, which is really good if you like mummies and that type of obscurity and horror movies. Now, I want you to know that this whole month of October is going to be about monsters on Fridays, and these are real monsters. And I'm not talking about slashers because there's so much horror, so many different genres of horror. There's slasher movies like Freddy, um, Michael Myers, um, Jason Voorhees, those kind of slasher movies. Those are slasher movies. I'm talking about monsters like the Mummy that I grew up with. The Mummy, Frankenstein, Dracula, um, the Wolfman, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, all of that I will be talking about on Fear Fridays. Those monsters is ones I'm going to be talking about on Fear Fridays. So please like and subscribe if you want to hear more about how they are real, even though we think we aren't. Some of us are afflicted with the same type of things that I will be discussing on the monsters. And please share some kindness. Shine your inner light for those in the dark.